money clicking past, ain't feeling his hymn. Waiting for the moment, blow up like a piston. Haters gonna hate, but persistence gonna glisten. Hold tight, 20 turn 200 someday. Laugh in their face, shouting, who wants some pay? Copper Show.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? We're in the wrong scene. There we are. Now we're in the right scene. What up, Twitch? What up, PETA? What up, Maddie? What up, Abby? What up, Cosmic? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in Machatterino? It's your boy. It's your boy. It's your boy. And your other boy. Stampy's here. Stampy's here. Want a couple treats? Let's see if we want treats today. I guess we want treats today. The biggest of boys. They're chunkulies. More treats? I'll give you more treats if you actually want more treats. Alrighty. Alrighty. Can I help you? Alright, Moose. What up, Reed? Let's do the thing. And he's out. What is that? Something just occurred. The notification says Globus the Elders community sent one. Larry, a new Twitch feature called combos. Well, I like combos. I like the pizza combos. Maddie always in tune with whatever the fuck is going on. Combos is a new monetization feature that allows chat to react to your stream in over-the-top 3D glory, all while supporting the channel. Combos are powered by Bits, designed to rally the community together to unleash on-stream effects that grow in spectacle as more viewers join in. Was I invited to participate in the beta? Okay. What up, Seven? Scambos to go with the scam trade. Like, for real, for real. I guess I've been invited to participate in the beta. Oh, and it didn't even like it didn't even explain to you what a combo was before it tricked you into sending me a bit. Conbos, concast, convoluted. So everything is computer. Oh, speaking of computer, AI pioneer Bengio launches a $30 million nonprofit to rethink safety. So it's making it easier to clip. Okay, that's good. I appreciate the clips. Um, I like posting them to my stuff. Machine learning pioneer Yoshua Bengio is launching a new nonprofit lab backed by roughly $30 million in funding to make AI systems act less like humans. Okay. Why it matters. The move bucks a trend toward AI that acts independently, which Bengio and others fear might create systems that place their own interests over humanity. We've been getting inspiration from humans as the template for building intelligent machines, but that's crazy, right? Bengio said in an interview. If we continue on this path, that means we're going to be creating entities like us that don't want to die and that may be smarter than us and that we're not sure if they're going to behave according to our norms and our instructions. Which norms? Which norms, Joshua? Bengio, a Montreal based researcher who has long warned about the risks of a technology he helped develop, has raised about $30 million for the nonprofit dubbed Law Zero. Jesus Christ. Did nobody else actually read the um the Asimov books? Or do we just know the laws of robotics? Law Zero currently has about 15 staffers, Bengio said, but the goal is to hire many more. Bengio is among those who have called for tougher regulation of AI development and even the breakup of big tech companies. Earlier this year, he gave a TED talk urging greater caution and collaboration. We watched that. There's a growing sense of worry among critics and even AI practitioners. What up, fellow AI practitioners? That safety is taking a backseat as companies and countries race to be first with AI that can best humans in a wide variety of tasks, so called artificial general intelligence. And yes, fair, right? Fair. I'm not against greater regulation on companies and countries and their approach to AI. I'm just not sure that it's actually going to happen due to the country's part of that whole thing. And not just the United States, I mean like everybody. Bengio said there's also a high risk in concentrating control of advanced AI in a handful of companies. Absolutely. This is why we believe in open source as opposed to attempting to lock Americans, because that's the only thing that would happen, locking Americans out of the use of the AI tools while other countries and entities around the world and even in the United States would be developing more and more advanced AI. And those of us of the working class who can't afford $250 or $1,000 a month or whatever the fuck they end up charging for something that, And then that's even if you allow for that kind of thing in your worldview. But yeah, no, go ahead. I'm sure it'll work out. You don't want AGI or superintelligence to be in the hand of one person or one company only deciding what to do, or even one government. So you need very strong checks and balances. Yes, agreed. Bengio says a large part of the problem is how current systems are trained. During initial training, the systems are taught to mimic humans, and then they are honed by seeing which responses people find most appealing. Both of these give rise to uncontrolled agency. Some early glimmers of this are already appearing, as when Anthropic's latest model, in a test scenario, sought to blackmail its engineers to avoid shutdown. By contrast, Bengio said he wants to create AI systems that have intellectual distance from humans and act as more of a detached scientist than a personal companion or human agent. The training principle is completely different, but it can exploit a lot of the recent advances that have happened in machine learning. Bengio told Axios that the $30 million should be enough to fund the basic research effort for about 18 months. But AI is expensive, and Bengio's nonprofit may find it difficult to raise additional, larger funding rounds, as OpenAI and others have found. Bengio says he doesn't see future funding as a roadblock, as he is certain more investors now understand the plausible risks ahead. Governments could also be future backers of Law Zero, Bengio says. We'll see. We shall see. Find there are no sanctioned words in your books, because if there are the MAGA are coming along to seize them and burn them. I mean, there's that, yes. I don't necessarily want AI to mimic humans. Humans are assholes. True. I don't know. I think I need Morning Joe to explain this. With the prompts. You need the good prompts for the AI. The prompts, Billy. Fucking Firefox is getting worse and worse, dude. What is in this headline? Well, video killed the radio star, so AI killed the math brain. Leaf Weatherby. That's a totally real person. Leaf Weatherby. Dr. Weatherby is the director of the Digital Theory Lab at NYU. I like after stream yesterday, the morning stream, um it started doing all sorts of weird crap, and I had to shut down my computer to get it, restart to get it to work properly. It was super weird. So I also ran scans because I'm paranoid. You know, everything is fine as far as I can tell. Jump again. Jump around. Jump around. ChatGPT was released 2.5 years ago, and we have been in a public panic ever since. Have we? Have we been in a public panic ever since? This is an opinion piece, by the way. Is this what a public panic looks like? Artificial intelligence can write in a way that passes for human, creating a fear that relying too heavily on machine-generated text will diminish our ability to read and write at a high level. Oh. Yeah, I mean, like, there's stuff to be in a public panic over, but I don't know if it's that. So those of you who have been paying attention to the sidebar that we've been having related to speeding, whether or not it is better to obey the speed limit, or whether or not it's better to go with the flow of traffic. Well, because I was challenged by Redolent Thought, who said, "This is what your AI said," right? I had Gemini do a deep research paper on it, and in short, the research paper has determined that while large speed differentials between vehicles can introduce complexities and potentially increase the likelihood of certain types of interactions, the fundamental physics of collisions and comprehensive crash data indicate that higher absolute speeds are intrinsically linked to substantially increased crash severity and, frequently, a higher probability of a crash occurring. Skipping ahead, the physical principles of increased kinetic energy and the extended stopping distance apply to each vehicle in that faster flow. Consequently, collective speeding does not negate individual risk, but rather multiplies the number of entities operating with diminished capacity to avoid or mitigate crashes. The perceived safety in such a flow is largely psychological, not a reflection of objective physical safety. Got a whole thing, got charts, got fucking. And this is like NHTSA. What else we got? Multiple articles from the NHTSA, the highways.gov, FHWA.gov, right? And then a variety of other, websites. So, I will get that for you. Let me go ahead. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, they won't be able to. They can read it, right? That's the access I'm providing for this. People can read it. But there you go. And feel free to challenge it. Maybe its conclusions are wrong. Maybe it hallucinated all of that. Maybe. The point behind that is that I am still well capable of reading and writing at a high level, right? That's the point. We've heard that the college essay is dead, and that alarming number of students alarming numbers of students use AI tools to cheat their way through college. Talk about writing at a high level. Here you go, Larry. You are truly one with the machine. This has the potential to undermine the future of jobs, education, and art all at once. You're one of those. The Titanic is indeed headed toward the iceberg. But the largest problem, at least at the moment, is not the college essay, the novel, or the office memo. It's computer code. I realized this last year when I was teaching a course on AI, language, and philosophy. When I asked my students how they use chatbots, one told me that whenever he has a spreadsheet full of data, such as results from a lab experiment or information collected from a survey, he was trained in high school to write a quick bit of code to parse and analyze the data. But now he told me he just throws the spreadsheet into ChatGPT, which analyzes it more quickly and requires him to do almost nothing. That's when it hit me. AI is just as much a challenge to numeracy, our knowledge and ability to use mathematics and reason quantitatively, as it is to literacy. In February, the AI engineer Andrej Karpathy, this is the guy I was trying to think of yesterday. Andrej Karpathy has a practice of vibe coding, and a lot of people, I think, misunderstood what vibe coding was about, right? It's not about having, just like no involvement in developing the code or what have you. It's about just seeing what the machine is capable of, right? And that was the point behind the exercise. He said so. Like, I mean, it was that kind of thing. If you want to tell me that Andrej Karpathy doesn't code anymore, I won't believe you. In February, the AI engineer Andrej Karpathy reported on X that he was engaged in a new form of software development. That's not what he said. He called vibe coding. Using nothing more than a series of spoken prompts to a chatbot, he was conducting ad hoc experiments on data and said he would barely touch the keyboard. That is correct. He said this allowed him to forget the code even exists, leaving the grunt work to the AI and simply directing from above. Mr. Karpathy's post went viral, and many others acknowledged they were doing the same. By some accounts, though, vibe coding isn't going well. Do I ever watch Theo T3? I don't know who that is, so I'm going to go with no. The code that Mr. Karpathy prompts create has been reported to be inefficient and riddled with irreversible errors. How are there irreversible errors in code? How is that possible? Any coders want to explain to me how you can have an irreversible error in code? Is code not editable? Let's take a look at what this link takes us to. Ars Technica. Right here. As Karpathy humorously acknowledged in his original post, the approach is for the ultimate lazy programmer experience. I asked for the dumbest things, like decrease the padding on the sidebar by half, because I'm too lazy to find it myself. I accept all always. I don't read the diffs anymore. Right? It's a game that he's doing. You know what I mean? Is there, if I control F, okay, irreversible is not in here. So I'm not reading an entirely other article just to. I'm going to assume that this person is full of shit. He's a programmer and makes some YouTube videos about AI news and his experience using AI in his project. He says vibe coding enables him to do coding as fast as he can think. Yeah, if you got a video you'd like to recommend, put it in the where. We'll take a look at it. As long as it's not too long, right? Like that's always the thing. At the very least, it'll be in there, and I and other people can check it out. Worse, programmers using the method say they found themselves not merely forgetting that code exists, but forgetting how to code. Interesting that there's no link to that claim. As is the case with reading and writing a language, code is one of those things where if you don't use it, you lose it. That's generally mostly true, right? Like, it depends on when you learn the language, and also, like, you can sometimes still have portions of it that just, like, you know, disassociate in your memory, but you can, if you start doing it again, you can get them back. So, broadly, yes. Specifically, maybe. Early studies indicate that humans who use AI could become less creative over time. Something not unlike vibe coding has already entered the marketplace. Google claimed in 24 that AI wrote over 25% of all the company's code. Microsoft recently reported similar numbers as it fired thousands of employees, including many software engineers. Amazon has also adopted streamlined AI coding practices. I wonder how Dr. Weatherby feels about what is it? The visual coding, right? With coding blocks, right? Is that verboten as well, Doc? Amazon has also adopted streamlined AI coding practices, which workers say changes software engineering fundamentally, making a job defined by intellectual effort into something more like industrial drudgery. AI companies themselves see the writing on the wall. OpenAI, for example, is in talks to spend a cool $3 billion to acquire Windsurf, a company that offers an AI driven coding assistant. Thought that was already done. This is a brand new article. This is from yesterday. Computer science has consistently been one of the top majors in the United States for the last decade, but with the ability to task AI to code, startups and tech giants alike are hiring fewer and fewer entry level computer scientists. Reports suggest that at major AI companies, the hiring rate for software engineering jobs have fallen over the course of 2024 from a high of about 3,000 per month to near zero. If enrollments in computer science degrees dry up as jobs disappear, the whole pipeline from education to employment could crash. Yes. It's not so surprising that chatbots might threaten technical jobs before writing one. They are very good at predicting the answers to a lot of standard questions on exams and problem sets. And a lot of quantitative work is done using that very simple kind of code. My student with his spreadsheet is similar to thousands of workers who don't really need to do math or write any complex computer code, but instead just need to reformat, move, and extract simple answers from data sets at their companies. For some reason, streamer mode doesn't happen on fucking Discord anymore, which is interesting. Maybe they turned off it being the default, I guess. Anyways, AI is a potentially huge threat to this very widespread type of job and to the basic quantitative skills that go into it. But you just said they don't need to do the math. Fuck you, lobster. Um, you just said they don't need to do the math, right? And again, your problem isn't with the thing, your problem is with capitalism. They have a job to do, right? Once they get out, they need to manipulate spreadsheets. They don't need to write code. The writing of code is an additional task that they have to do in order to manipulate the spreadsheet. They're not looking to be master coders. They're looking to perform the task for which they are hired. So if you got a problem with that, talk to your boss, dude. The worry is that we, as a society, will become innumerate. Innumerate. What is innumerate? That's a word I haven't heard. And if I have, I didn't realize I heard it. without a basic knowledge of mathematics and arithmetic. That's hyperbolic. I know what that word means. The worry is that we as a society will become innumerate, not just illiterate. AI appears to be exacerbating an alarming trend in which our basic education is failing our young citizens. Yeah, so maybe we need to figure out what's wrong with our basic education. Not just, oh, it's the AI's fault. Everything was fine before 2022. And that crisis is aimed at the most basic elements of that education: reading, writing, and arithmetic. My advice to young students today is to study language and mathematics. Sure, with all the extra time that they have. When you talk to a chatbot, you're using everyday language to talk to a mathematical system that in turn talks back to you. Technical skills won't be enough to deal with the unpredictable results in markets. So a broad-based knowledge of math and language will be the only way to adapt. And while jobs might disappear in one sector, we will always need humans who can make sense of AI. The head of Anthropic, which runs the ChatGPT competitor Claude, recently admitted that we have no idea how AI works. He didn't mean that engineers don't know how to code up a large language model. He meant that we don't yet understand how these systems interact with meaning. Why is a chatbot able to use language? Why does that ability imply? What does that ability imply about the mathematical processes that underlie it? Deep questions like these require humans to answer them. To understand our own culture in the age of AI, we need high-level math classes and deep study of literature and linguistics. It might be that the crucial insight a student needs will come from a course on Don Quixote, as quixotic as that may sound. This always annoyed me, is that Don Quixote is pronounced Don Quixote, and this is not pronounced chaotic, it's pronounced quixotic. Put that in your fucking language course, bub. In other words, I think we have to return to the liberal arts. There we go. This is liberal arts versus STEM. To make our way forward in the age of AI. For students today, studying math and language might turn out to be the only way to be flexible enough to face a rapidly changing market in which a computer science degree is no longer a guarantee of a job. It's also a way to deepen our humanity in the face of these strange machines we have built and to understand them. And that is something that AI will never do. As you say, boss. I am like super impressed, right, with people's ability to prognosticate. There's a word, the future, right? They have this power that they know in absolute terms whether or not AI will ever achieve a particular capability. It's fascinating. I wish I had that power. Yes, Don Quixote, Lord Don Quixote, the man of La Mancha. Right? Yeah. It's a book. It's a book about a dude who tilted at windmills. And his man Pancho, who tried to keep him on the straight and narrow. No one man should ever have all that power. Why am I quoting Kanye? I hate myself. I mean, broken clock theory and all that. Meta plans to replace humans with AI to assess privacy and societal risk. You're doing a Suno on Don Quixote? Nice. Nice. I hope Don Quixote and not Kanye. Kanye, dude. Kanye got to the point where I can't even really comfortably talk about what Kanye is up to. Like, that's where we're at. Like, holy shit, Kanye. Or Ye. Or Yeezy. Or whatever you want to call yourself, homie, because respect for that. But you. Oh. For years, when Meta launched new features for Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook, teams of reviewers evaluated possible risks. Did they? Is that what happened? Because my experience is different. Could it violate users' privacy? Could it cause harm to minors? Could it worsen the spread of misleading or toxic content? And upon finding out that something could worsen the spread of misleading or toxic content, did they turn that dial to 11? Because holy shit. Until recently, what are known inside Meta as privacy and integrity reviews. Saying meta and integrity in the same sentence is fun. Until recently, what are known inside Meta as privacy and integrity reviews were conducted almost entirely by human evaluators. But now, according to internal company documents obtained by NPR, up to 90% of all risk assessments will soon be automated. In practice, this means things like critical updates to Meta's algorithm, new safety features, and changes to how content is allowed to be shared across the company's platform will be mostly approved by a system powered by artificial intelligence, no longer subject to scrutiny by staffers tasked with debating how a platform change could have unforeseen repercussions or be misused. Yeah, well, I mean, they was it trust and safety or whatever the hell the thing was. They got rid of that. Right? They decided that unadulterated free speech is the way to go, and that's a choice. That's a choice you can make. Inside Meta, the change is being viewed as a win for product developers who will now be able to release app updates and features more quickly. That'll be great. But current and former Meta employees fear the new automation push comes at the cost of allowing AI to make tricky determinations about how Meta apps could lead to real world harm. Provide me with some examples. I would like some actual examples, of what these people talk about, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, because I feel like we're not all on the same page. Insofar as this process functionally means more stuff launching faster with less rigorous scrutiny and opposition, it means you're creating higher risks. That a former Meta executive who requested anonymity out of fear of retaliation from the company. That's cool. That's cool. Imagine the free speech advocates over at Meta retaliating against someone using their free speech. That had never happened. Negative externalities of product changes are less likely to be prevented before they start causing problems in the world. Meta said in a statement that it has invested billions of dollars to support user privacy. Since 2012, Meta has been under the watch of the FTC after the agency reached an agreement with the company over how it handles users' personal information. As a result, privacy reviews for products have been required, according to current and former Meta employees. In its statement, Meta said the product risk review changes are intended to streamline decision making, adding that human expertise is still being used for novel and complex issues, and that only low risk decisions are being automated. But internal documents reviewed by NPR show that Meta is considering automating reviews for sensitive areas, including AI safety, youth risk, and a category known as integrity that encompasses things like violent content and the spread of falsehoods. A slide describing the new process says product teams will now, in most cases, receive an instant decision after completing a questionnaire. No way that can be abused. About the project. That AI driven decision will identify risk areas and requirements to address them. Before launching, the product team has to verify it has met those requirements. Did you verify those requirements? Yes. Under the prior system, product and feature updates could not be sent to billions of users until they had received the blessing of risk assessors. Now, engineers building meta products are empowered to make their own judgments about risk. In some cases, including projects involving new risks or where a product team wants additional feedback, projects will be given a manual review by humans, the slide says, but it will not be by default as it used to be. Now, the teams building products will make that call. If you've ever reported anything on Facebook, you probably understand that the initial review was done by a machine, and it's only if you ask for a more in-depth review that it will allegedly be addressed by a human. And no, they don't actually care. Um, I have had, this is, you want to know something terrifying? I have had better success getting content addressed on Twitter than I have on Facebook. What up, Chrysanthemum? In some cases, including project, we did that. Now the team, most product managers and engineers are not privacy experts, and that is not the focus of their job. No, but homie over here is saying that you need to do all the things, right? So like, just they need to be risk assessors along with being whatever else they do, right? Because that's what employees need is more work for the same amount of money. That's how you get your best results. Just give them more work. Don't you understand this? It's not what they are primarily evaluated on, and it's not what they are incentivized to prioritize. What up, Ribbons? Burnout, right? Who doesn't love burnout? Like the fucking wheels spin and you go fast, right? And there's a cloud of smoke. Everybody loves burnout. Product teams in Meta are evaluated on how quickly they launch products, among other metrics. In the past, some of these kinds of self assessments have become box checking exercises that miss significant risks. As I demonstrated. Did you address all the risks? Yes. I am great. Krieger said that while there is room for improvement in streamlining reviews at Meta through automation, if you push that too far, inevitably the quality of review and the outcomes are going to suffer. No. I love doing my job and every other job in the company I didn't apply for. Exactly. Exactly. Work. Meta downplayed concerns that the new system will introduce problems into the world, pointing out that it is auditing the decisions the automated systems make for projects that are not assessed by humans. Who's going to audit those? Is it going to be another automated tool? Oh. Yeah. There's more, but I think we get the point. What's next? What's next? It's not your imagination. AI is speeding up the pace of change. If the adoption of AI feels different from any tech revolution you may have experienced before, mobile, social, cloud computing, I mean, that those are the three choices that they chose to elucidate. Excuse me. Like, what about like home computing, rise of the internet? Like those, I think are also valuable to include in this discussion. What up, Dojo? Venture capitalist Mary Meeker just dropped a 340-page slideshow report which uses the word fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I was right. I am right. I fucking. Venture capitalist Mary Meeker just dropped a 340-page slideshow report which used the word unfucking precedented on 51 of those pages. Everything is weird and unprecedented. I win. To describe the speed at which AI is being developed, adopted, spent on, and used, backed up with chart after chart. The pace, unfucking precedented. The pace and scope of change related to the artificial intelligence technology evolution is indeed decrypt. Is indeed unprecedented as supported by the data, she writes in the report called Trends Artificial Intelligence. There's a certain poetic history to this person writing this kind of report. Meeker is the founder and general partner at VC firm Bond and was once known as the Queen of the Internet for her previous annual Internet Trends report. I didn't vote for you for Queen of the Internet. How did you become this is the Queen of the Internet? Dubbed Queen of the Internet for her Internet Trends reports, Meeker's reports predicted the rise of Apple, Google, and the digital economy. She revived the report in 2024. I mean that's like, that's impressive. I don't know if they get to be queen of the internet. What up, Stoicite? I've never heard of her either, right? And if she is queen of the internet, does this mean that I can assemble an army of raiders and we can siege her castle and potentially take the crown away from her? Because I would say that I am king of the internet. How about that? Before founding Bond, she ran Kleiner Perkins Growth Practice from 2010 to 2019, where she backed companies like Facebook, Spotify, Ring, and Block, then Square. She's got a good eye, right? She's got a good eye. She hasn't released a trends report since 2019, but she dusted off her skills to document in laser detail how AI adoption has outpaced any other tech in human history. ChatGPT reaching 800 million users, bubble gonna burst any day now, in 17 months. Unprecedented. The number of companies and the rate at which so many others are hitting high annual recurring revenue rates, also unprecedented. The speed at which costs of usage are dropping, unprecedented. While the cost of training a model, also unprecedented, is up to $1 billion, inference costs, for example, those paying to use the tech, has already dropped 99% over 2 years when calculated cost per 1 million tokens, she writes, citing research from Stanford. This is the zero marginal cost theory in action, right? Yeah, again, I do want to give her her due, right? Like, she appears to have a good eye, and I respect that, right? I'm only memeing on the whole queen of the internet thing, right? Um, the pace at which competitors are matching others' features at a fraction of the cost, including open source options, particularly Chinese model, everybody. For example, she points out that NVIDIA's 2024 Blackwell GPU uses 105,000 times less energy per token than the company's 2014 Kepler GPU predecessor. And this is why, like, this less energy per token is important to consider when you're talking about the energy costs, right? The fucking shit is becoming more energy efficient. Meanwhile, chips from Google, like its TPU and Amazon's Trainium, are being developed at scale for their clouds. That's moving quickly too. They aren't side projects, they're foundational bets. The one area where AI hasn't outpaced every other tech revolution is in financial returns. While VCs are pouring money on the AI fire as fast as they can, AI companies and cloud service providers are also burning through cash. AI requires massive investments in infrastructure, something that we haven't done in this country for decades. We are collectively averse to investment in infrastructure, because investment in infrastructure is a long-term investment. Doesn't necessarily provide a quick ROI. And it's why everyone's freaking out and saying, oh, it's a goddamn, not everyone. I heard it as it came out of my mouth. Why people are freaking out because it's like, oh, it's a bubble, it's going to burst because it's not sustainable because they're not getting an ROI. You have Wall Street brain, dude. What do you mean Biden gave up Build Back Better to do infrastructure? And what's the one we did before that, Larry? What is the comprehensive infrastructure bill? No, I'm not saying it didn't do anything. It did a bunch of stuff, right? Like the Build Back Better infrastructure bill actually. I live in New York, right? Like, and stuff actually happens here. Um, and a lot of bridges are being attended to, that weren't being attended to prior to that bill. So, like, that's an example of things that are being addressed under that, that funding. And New York jumped on that shit, right? Like, yes, absolutely. But what about the one before that? What was the what was the infrastructure bill, the major infrastructure bill that was passed by the federal government to improve the infrastructure of the United States of America? Anybody? Because I don't know. I would probably go back to fucking the was it the Eisenhower Thruway one? It's good for consumers and enterprises, the beneficiaries of fast improvements, while competition lowers costs, Meeker points out. But the jury is still out over which of the current crop of companies will become long term, profitable, next generation tech giants. Only time will tell which side of the money making equation the current AI aspirants will land. As for the rest of us, just hold on to your hats and your butts. Hold on to your butts. In a move that should surprise absolutely nice job, Stoicite. In a move or hold on to each other's butts, right? Like I'm, however the butts get held, that's entirely up to you. In a move that surprises absolutely nobody who's been paying attention in this chat, record labels in talks to license music to AI firms Udio and Suno. Obama had a lot of budget allocated to infrastructure. Okay. I could be wrong. I watched a video about critical train tunnel in America that is like 150 years old and costing $100 billion to fix. Wild. Wild. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I am. I would estimate that a bunch of members of the working class, right? I remember watching a news report about people who like couldn't afford maintenance on their vehicles, so they were like stretching, like not getting oil changes, not getting this done, not getting that done, right? Like because they couldn't afford it, right? They needed the vehicle to get where they were going, but they couldn't afford it. So I understand that if you let maintenance go for extended periods of time, it ends up costing you a whole lot when you finally have something that needs to be addressed, no matter what. And I could be wrong, right? But I feel like since we didn't use ongoing maintenance, we probably didn't use ongoing maintenance to this critical train tunnel, that it's likely that all of the stuff that could have been prorated over the past 150 years is now just come due today, right? I would not be surprised to find that that was the case. Actually, Trump also had a decent amount of money go to roads, water, and cybersecurity. Did he? Is that where it went? Because one thing I learned about COVID funding is that different states kind of did what they wanted with it. They didn't necessarily actually always use it for COVID related things. And then the federal government decided to claw some of it back. Knives Nine, welcome in. Not to get political, but didn't he pull a ton of funding for cyber? That's why I am not certain about these claims that are being made. I'm not denying that they are true. I would need to know, right? Like I'm more than happy to be wrong. Does allocating money lead to actual repairs? Perhaps not. He did pull a ton of funding for cyber. So so that refocusing, put on my robe and wizard hat. There you go. Record labels in talks to license music to AI firms Udio and Suno. Oh God. Fucking Bloomberg is the worst, dude, with this bullshit. Fuck them. I'm just gonna Google. Google doesn't do anything. Google is broken. Google doesn't work anymore. Here, music business worldwide. Fuck them. TechCrunch. TechCrunch is reliable. Universal Music Group, Warner Music Group, and Sony Music Entertainment are in talks to license their work to AI startups Udio and Suno, according to a new report from Bloomberg. The deals would set forth a framework for how AI companies compensate artists for their work. The record labels are pushing to receive a small amount of equity in Suno and Udio. Udio and Suno allow aspiring music artists like Cosmic to receive an audio recording via prompts that describe sounds or songs, such as a modern country ballad about unrequited love. That's lazy, but yes. Excuse me. Any deal would help settle lawsuits between the music companies and AI startups. Excuse me. The labels sued Udio and Suno last year for copyright infringement. Both sides are in talks to see if they can agree on terms as opposed to continuing legal fights. If this, what up, Beef? If this gets resolved, my expectation of the compensation will be similar to Spotify deals, right? Where Universal Music Group, Warner Music Group, and Sony Music Entertainment will get a nice hefty payout. And the individual artists will receive less than pennies on each iteration of whatever, you know. On the other hand, for creators, it could allow us to go back to doing cover versions of songs and actually using different songs and artists as reference points for the creations that we make. So, how you feel about that is how you feel about that, but ultimately, as expected, the rights holders will get paid and the creators will get fucked, because copyright and IP doesn't serve individual creators. Copyright and IP serves capital. Yeah, I mean, Cosmic, if you're balling out like that, then I wish you the best of luck. But that's not what we're talking about. That's not you getting a penny. That's the artist, however they would determine such a thing. And that's why I don't even know, right? It's going to be a lot of flat rate shit. Even if they did a carve out, right, for artists who owned, their own catalog. Just the catalogs of those three companies would be sufficient to train all sorts of AI models. And then they could just kick out a percentage based on the numbers of songs in their catalogs that are like, maybe partially owned by an estate or whatever, or even not. I don't expect the artists to do any better under this framework than the previous framework. They're going to give them the minimum possible that they can get away with. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Copyright does so much good, though. Also, my job is a family, and I love Pizza Party Fridays. I have been wondering about that. I remember early GPT was great at making, early weird AI style remixes, and then sort of nutted up. Yeah, I was able to create cover versions of songs. Yes, exactly. If you have a ton of lawyers, you can do a surprising amount of shit in this country. I was able to make covers with Suno, and then like right before I stopped paying for it, they said, "Hey, you're not going to be able to do that anymore." And I was like, "Well, that fucking sucks." I actually didn't see it. Iggy was the one who told me about it. You want to watch somebody who's about to get burned at the stake? This is Ian Dean. I went to an AI art conference expecting empty hype. I never expected to be creatively recharged. The Free Pick Upscale AI conference showed how AI can be used for art. Like many creatives, I've watched the rise of AI art with a mix of curiosity and concern. I don't know how many creatives are watching with curiosity. I would hope more. I totally get curiosity and concern, but if you don't have curiosity, then I feel like you're going to make some bad conclusions. For years, the art I've loved and struggled to make has been tactile and intentional, pencil to paper, stylus to screen. The idea that an AI model could churn out art in seconds felt reductive. Visiting the Free Pick Upscale AI conference in San Francisco, I was hesitant but also intrigued by prospect of learning why and how AI could be used creatively. I was ready to meet a room full of overpromises and underwhelming results, a crowd eager to love bad Ghibli memes. Instead, I found a glimpse of something real and genuinely creative, a tangible future that includes AI art and filmmaking. Not a gimmick, not a tech demo dressed as innovation, but a genuine evolution in how we create and experience art. I've previously met artists like Martin Nebelong who show how using AI can speed up workflows, but the speakers and creatives at Free Pick Upscale AI conference revealed working faster and cheaper isn't a focus. Finding a new art form is more important, and that stood out. The reason to use AI for artists and designers isn't about doing more for less, crunching numbers, but about starting on the first rung of a new artistic ladder. Held in the SF Jazz Center, San Francisco Jazz Center, gallery like space, an atmospheric venue humming with nervous energy and relentless espresso, the Free Pick Upscale conference was about more than hot trends and hype. What I experienced was a rethink of what creativity could look like when technology isn't the end, but the means. When artists get to use AI image and video models to experiment and not demand a finished final product from prompts alone, then something interesting happens. Andrea Trabuco Campos, a graphic designer and Pentagram partner, whatever that is, grounded the conversation where it belongs, in history. He didn't preach about disruption and faced up to AI's biggest issue, a lack of originality, from the outset, pointing out human made art is a mishmash of influences, design building on past trends. True. Andreas spoke about craft. His talk centered on artificial typography, a book that explored how AI misreads typefaces and how those interpretations become creative opportunities. Distorted ligatures, broken symmetry, moments of accidental beauty, and yes, mistakes and misunderstandings by the AI model can all be harnessed to create something new. Here's the key: Andrea doesn't accept the output at face value. He curates, he edits, he works through hundreds of generated variations to find a single compelling form. His work reinforced what I've always believed, that the artist's eye, the taste, the decision making still belongs to the artist, and it's something that AI can't replace. I would say yet, but for the here and now, valid. That shift in perspective continued with Jason Zada from Secret Level. Jason's studio was behind the Wu-Tang Clan's Mandingo, short film generated entirely with AI tool. What? Why have I not heard about this? No. I want to know about Wu-Tang Clan and Mandingo. I want Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang is using AI. Oh, that does look like some AI. Huh. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to give it to y'all so y'all can play it because I'm going to upload this to YouTube and I don't want to disrupt the thing. Plus, some people don't like music for some reason. So we're going to keep the flow going at that. Hip hop, dude. Hip hop, like if it wasn't for the ability to sample other people's music, you wouldn't have hip hop. Like, holy shit, Insane in the Brain from Cypress Hill. I was watching a video where this dude was going through and just looking at all the different samples that appear in that song. And there'll be like just the tiniest bit of a piece of guitar, right, from another song that this person took and like and just spun out, right? Like, and just repeated it within the song. And it's like, dude, like that song, as much as I am loath to use the term iconic, that song is iconic, right? Like, if you hear that, you know, the sound of the first 5 seconds, you know what you're getting, and it's going to be great. Hieroglyphics is great. Hieroglyphics Crew was one of the first to have a website, and I think they actually made a crypto coin at one point. Well, you know, that's probably why it's so stale in a lot of subgenres right now. Sampling is so much harder nowadays. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. And sometimes people have to make NFTs to realize NFTs are a bad idea. Okay, I'm going to go to bed now. Apparently, Hawk Tuah Girl, though, I heard. I don't know. I can't verify any of this. I don't really want to get into it. But allegedly, what I've heard is that Hawk Tuah Girl got people their money back to whatever extent that she could. So, respect for that, you know? No, I wouldn't expect it would be, Cosmic. You're not into like rap and hip hop, so. Right. So, Wu-Tang Clan's Mandingo, a short film generated entirely with AI tools from casting, environment design, lighting, and animation. It's ambitious, bold, and yes, still imperfect, but it marks a significant moment. A filmmaker using AI to realize cinematic ideas that would once have needed a studio budget, which has always been my point. Ahead of his talk, Jason spoke to me about Tron and Mary Poppins, the creative milestones where new technology pushed storytelling forward. AI is waiting for its Tron moment. Jason is not chasing novelty, he's aiming for a breakthrough, and the real power of what he's building isn't really about automation or replacing artists. He hires artists to work on his films. It's about access. Ideas that used to die in notebooks can now be visualized on a laptop and brought to fruition. Yes. Yes, this is the point. right? More people are going to be able to take their ideas and do something with them other than just being a thought in their head or something they wrote in their their notebook. I was going to use the other. What are the black and white notebook composition? Thank you. They're composition books, right? Like there are stories of people like Aesop Rock got composition books full of ideas, right? That he builds off of. That kind of shit. I mean, have you seen VO3? Like VO3 is impressive as shit. You could use VO3 if you had respect for the Aesop love. Um VO3, you can create some pretty impressive videos with it, and a significantly or a sufficiently motivated editor could turn those into like a longer feature. And we've watched some that are starting to like touch that edge. Jason's talk also revealed the broader ambition AI filmmakers should be aiming for. Rather than the low hanging fruit of Family Guy as real people, Jason says AI should be used for building worlds that have never been seen before. A small team can now make the music, the film, design the toys, and create the video game using AI. What I really found interesting, Jason physically rolled his eyes at the thought of AI Ghibli memes and endless fake movie trailers that riff on Star Wars. Like many here, he wants to use AI to create original worlds, not remix the past and create low hanging fruit. And for the most part, I agree, but I'm also down for the remixing of the past, right? Like, because that which is past is prologue. We build on that which came before in order to create new things, right? And you don't know. So, is there a lot of like, Star Wars is 1950s whatever or 1970s whatever, even though Star Wars came out in the 1970s. It's just people do a lot of old stuff, right? Like, but that was their childhood, right? Like that's what they know. And by doing the low-hanging fruit, you can eventually get to the, you know, you can hone your idea. You might build creativity off that. Someone might see what you did and create a new thing. I am not Santa. Well, actually, I am. Duncan 007, welcome in. What up, Nemesis? Yeah, Star Wars in black and white, that kind of thing. If AI could generate an entire 2-hour film based on a single prompt, we could finally have a Will Smith Eat Spaghetti the movie. True.
Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby.
This is Twitch, my friend, but I am also on YouTube, so technically correct.
Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby.
Thank you for the follow. Sometimes low-hanging fruit is both available and delicious. It really is. There's a reason why we like the low-hanging fruit. Henry Dalbrez followed, and his approach might be the most aligned with how you or I have always worked and sought to create art. He treats AI as a part of the broader pipeline, mixing Imagen 3 and VO2 images and clips with Blender, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and other traditional apps. Do you know AI called Gemini? It's by Google. I do. I actually talked about that earlier. I created an entire report using the tool about why it is safer to drive the speed limit than it is to go with the flow of traffic. Dad jokes are the epitome of low-hanging fruit. As a dad, all my jokes are dad jokes. Meta. Well aware, Duncan, well aware. Bloop, bloop, bloop. His approach centers the use of AI on artistic skill, with AI used as a new space to experiment. He remains focused on the fundamentals of filmmaking, pacing, story, emotional resonance, and says AI can't be a shortcut achieving something that stands out. AI films need to be films first. Yes, right? Like, and this is why you can tell the difference. This is why when you watch something that someone creates with AI, you can see where it's like it's not there. There is no heft. There is no, it misses. But other people, like that one we watched where like that how like the prompted AI avatars were like becoming self-aware, and they were talking about how like we created them but we're ceding control over to them. That fucking thing hit, dude. That had impact because the person behind it was imbuing it with that kind of thing. I think we already have all the technology available to generate feature films out of a prompt. It would probably just cost a ton and have lots of consistency issues. Some of the consistency, like character consistency, is something that, like we saw in that one where the dude goes to visit the alien planet. That one, that had good character consistency. Not perfect, but good, right? Like you could. The story was like it made sense, you know what I mean? What up, Brad? I'm old and have a bad back. The low-hanging jokes are the only ones I can reach. Same. Santa is a Twitcher. It will be gooder and better if he was a real Santa and your popularity goes up to 500 million. From your lips to the AI overlord's ears. What up, Textillion? Does that mean all of my jokes are single child free cat lady jokes? Yes. I think feature film from a single prompt isn't going to work well. At this point in time, I would kind of tend to agree. Like, I think you're better off, and this is why I think people miss the mark when they talk about creating a novel from a single prompt. No, you can use the tools to create scenes. Focus on that, right? And if necessary, sub scenes, right? Like divide it into parts and then assemble those parts together. It'll be closer to what you're trying to get, and you will actually be involved in the creative process. Bloop, 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 bloop. In Poland. The German flag in Poland? Okay. I think that it's easy to explain in if the technology facilitates the telling of the story, that's good. Why the demos are often impressive technologically, but not necessarily representative of what the tech can do in the right hands. 100%. 100%. That's where I am with the thing. Feature films from a single prompt, is that Cocaine Bear? I'm, like... What did the AI do? Did the AI create Cocaine Bear, or is something else going on? But yes, I haven't seen it either. What up, Abby? I haven't seen that either. Yeah, you can get assistants to create it. A single prompt can take a paragraph and expand it to a page and so on until you get the length needed. Yeah, like it should be like a back and forth. Like the same thing that you do with your own brain when you're creating, a piece of art, right? The whole like the classic way of writing a book is you start out with an outline, and an outline has little snippets. What up, Arberlin? Little snippets of what a particular portion of the book is going to contain. What up, Iggy? And you take that outline and then you expand each of those sections to be the full paragraph or chapter or whatever it is that you're trying to tell, and you just build on it from there, right? And then you edit it and you remove stuff and you add stuff. Is this consistent across the course of the book? This is a nice thing that AI can help with in that regard, is that if you use an AI, like I would recommend Gemini because of its large context window, but your choice is your choice. When you're writing, it can like is the character consistency there? Are there unresolved plot holes? Any of that kind of stuff. The good editor, exactly. Mythology building, exactly. Yeah, I understand, Duncan. Bloop, 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 bloop. So yeah, I think we got to the point. Um, there's a bunch of people talking about the stuff at the AI conference, and shout out all these people who are showing, the thing. Artists create art with the technology and tools that they have available. UW, this is KUOW.org. UW professor looks for ways to make the ethical best of AI enhanced learning. Yes, but not all of them, right? Like this is the key. There are people out there who are loud. Loud, and this is a joke in my group of friends. Loud does not make you right. Right? And there are people within the art space who don't like AI and they are loud about it, but it doesn't mean that they're right. Okay, that's the third time you said it, homie. I'm gonna need you to dial in on what we're talking about, or maybe you need to go do something else. Okay, Duncan? Because when you're repeating yourself like that, now I feel like you're trying to say something. And if you're trying to say something, then you should just say it. You know what I mean? When generative artificial intelligence, or AI, dropped into our lives 2.5 years ago, educators around the world went into a panic. Some of them did, not all of them. Suddenly, there was a chatbot easily accessible to students who could help them. And how do you feel about them, Duncan? Are you a fan or not? Let's get to the point. Okay, so then we're going to do one of these, and then we're going to do one of these, and you can watch and maybe pick up the vibe. I'm just trying to find out, right? Like, sometimes people have difficulty with things being lost in translation, Iggy. And I want people to have the full opportunity to accurately represent themselves. And if they can't, well then I will act accordingly. 2025. What are we doing? Fast forward now, students are complaining that teachers are using AI in their jobs and they don't like it. Should they? Katie Pierce is an associate professor in the University of Washington. Well, it is what it is, and again, you act accordingly. You're not going to have a calculator in your pocket, exactly. Let me look at my phone and see where I can get a calculator. Katie Pierce is an associate professor in the University of Washington's Department of Communication. She researches social and political uses of technologies and digital content. KUOW's Kim Malcolm talked to her about how students and teachers are navigating their use of AI technology. You were quoted in a New York Times piece recently about how college professors are using AI in their work. One student complained when she realized her professor had used an AI chatbot to grade her essay assignment and offer some really nice feedback. Is that a fair complaint from the student? So this, we covered that New York Times article, right? The New York Times piece. So this is like a sequel, I guess. Well, I think it's a fair complaint from the student because students and their parents are paying a lot of money for their education. When this instructor used AI to generate feedback on an assignment that violated what the student expected to happen, and so I understand why that student's upset. This is totally valid, right? It's the kind of thing that everyone should be above board, right? Like, I will use AI to assist me in grading your papers, right? Like, you should know that going in. I am paying money for this education, and I need to know that you, as the teacher, the professor, the what have you, are going to be responsible for the outcome, you know, of the grade. It's not, you can't point to the AI and say, well, the AI gave you a bad grade, it's not my fault. Because no. You, the teacher, are responsible, just like you, the company, are responsible for whatever the AI does. There is no confusion. This is one of these things that irritates the shit out of me, is that people who want to hold corporations accountable will somehow, in their mind, twist it around and express to other people that, well, if the AI does it, who's responsible? Is it the AI tool? Is it the company? We don't know. No, we do know. The company is responsible for every single tool that it uses in the process of doing its business and creating its product, whatever that product is. The company is responsible. To have people who allegedly want to hold corporations accountable participate in that, I don't know, like the little blonde girl with the doo-doo-doos, and she's like, oh, that's you. And you're being fucking disingenuous, and you need to knock it off. Be ethically consistent, or just shut up about it. Woo! I try. I really try. I really try. I take I take the thoughts and I put them in a little ball and I shove them over into the corner of my mind, and then some shit happens, and then it's boop 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 cascade, and then I express myself. And I'm not angry. I am passionate. You can tell I'm not angry because I'm not angry now, right? Yeah, free college, right? Like, if college was free, then, would the student has cared as much about? I mean, I would like to think that, yes, the student would still care as much, right? the student would still care as much because they're concerned about getting a good education, which ultimately is what you want, right? The reactor just kind of got away from us. Nobody knows how, so we should just move on. Exactly. I'm curious what are the rules are for using AI for students at the University of Washington. At the University of Washington, and I think this is true for most universities and colleges, there is no university wide policy. And I think that's a good thing. If you say so, boss. Because instructors should be allowed to decide within their own classroom environment what sort of policies they want to have. Now, with that, I will say that there are a wide variety of policies, and this can sometimes be confusing for students. At least you're aware of it, right? At least you're aware of it. This isn't so much the case now, but was a couple of years ago. In my own course, I have a pretty liberal AI use policies compared to some of my colleagues. And when I started doing that, students couldn't understand because they were receiving the message from many of their other instructors absolutely not. None of this is allowed. AI is bad. Don't use it. I think now there's more of a range of use, and so having varied policies isn't as challenging for students to understand, but certainly a lot of instructors have different rules. And if we're going to do this, if this is the way we go, and I can see the argument, right? I don't know that it's correct. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm not, acquiescing to the correctness of this. But if this is what we're going to do, then it shouldn't just be, can I use AI? And the instructor says, no, absolutely not. AI is bad. You should justify that, right? So that the student understands. No, I don't want you to use AI in this class because I think it's very important that these following components are a portion of your education within this classroom. And if you're not doing these with your meat brain and you're using the AI, I feel like something's going to be lost there. So my policy is to do these things under these circumstances and like that. Does that make sense? Right? Like that is valid. But AI bad? Why AI bad? Shut up. I am your professor. Cogito ergo sum. Even then, if they don't care as much, they can still be valuable. Resources can be spent on those who do want to be there. Yes, but I'm talking about like a fundamental thing, Reed, of that we need to reassess the way in which we do education in this country, and it needs to start from the ground up, and it has to do with instilling a love of learning, and instilling curiosity, right? We should be teaching creative thinking, critical thinking, healthy skepticism, media literacy, and a love of learning, right? It's under those conditions that it doesn't matter what they're learning, right? And then what you do is you start to eliminate these solid walls, especially in the younger years. You're going to math class and you are going to math class for 45 minutes. You are going to English class for 45 minutes. No, let's talk about more holistic education because these are not sharp domains. There is crossover. That is one thing I agreed with fucking what's his name on. This guy. Dr. Weatherby, right? Automodded. Shut up, really? That's a Twitch update to the auto mod. Yeah. And that says it, right? Like you said, also Twitch didn't let me put shut up in a clip title, and then that's why it got auto modded. Because every so often Twitch decides we need to refresh your auto mod. And it's like, bro, I'm curating something here. But there's a blend to everything, right? Like you can learn in the process of doing one thing, other aspects, right? And that's the way that we should be teaching, especially in the younger kids, where you're teaching them fundamentals. We have associative memory. Use those components together in order to like instill that love of learning, the desire to be curious, the desire to go do stuff. I have heard that. I haven't seen anything. I would not be surprised. I guess we'll find out. Where the fuck were we? I got lost in my tabs. This one. So I saw an ad unrelated to what we're talking about. There's Paper Planes by what's their name, and they were using that do like from that in this ad, and I'm like, well, that seems inappropriate. That doesn't seem to reflect what you're trying to. And it wasn't Paper Planes. They had sampled that and put it in another song, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird, right? Like this makes me feel weird. I think Twitch couldn't handle K Flogan's sarcastic stream title yesterday. Speaking of getting clapped auto-modded. Oh, did he need to MIA? That thank you. Is Kevin on a grippy sock vacation? Twitch requires us to proclaim that straights are welcome here. Everyone's welcome here. White Wings Paper Plane, is that another thing? I am talking about the MIA track, but there was a sample. Or what was it, a cover? I think it was spotted by staff. Oh, these are actually Paper Planes. The straights are fine. They're just, some of them are having a tough month. They see rainbows and they kind of lose their minds a little bit. They need to calm down, right? Maybe if they weren't being straight all over the place, right? Putting their straightness in people's faces, then, we wouldn't need these kind of things. Everywhere I go, I turn on, like, I'm watching this show called Heels. I finished watching this show called Heels. My friend has been telling me I should watch this show called Heels for like ever. And what up, Elrod? And I'm watching the show, and Heels is about wrestling, right? It's a small little wrestling promotion down in like Georgia, and it's a family affair, and there's a bunch of different drama, and Stephen Amell brings his own, I think that's his name, one of the Amells brings his own brand of drama to the thing, and like that, right? Like, and and I get it, and I'm into it, right? Like, because I like pro wrestling as a thing. And for some reason, every so often, people are having sex, right? Like, in just like heterosexual sex, right? Like, and it's like, why I wasn't even being sarcastic. It was like, why are you putting the sex in my face? I'm trying to watch a show about wrestling. Right? Like, we don't need to have the sex in my face. We can just do the pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Oh. Happy Pride Month, y'all. Happy Pride Month. And title, No Straights Welcome. Oh. Yeah, I can see why that would. Oh, they're so sensitive, the straights. Anyways, I don't know. I feel like we're off the mark on this one. And I need to wrap up soon. Take a. It's like it was one of the main complaints made about Game of Thrones was the unnecessary SA scenes, right? Like, and like you really don't have to put it into people's faces to make them understand that this is a bad guy, right? You can you can do the close the door, right? Like you close the door on the scene and like and we know what's happening, right? Like just him being assertive in a particular kind of way can give you that same kind of fucking thing. You don't have to make it very graphic. Yeah, in like it's super awkward when you're watching in a group. But like you don't have to go that far. You just have to give the impression and then we all know what happened, right? Like this is a very bad person doing very bad things to this other person. Like we get it. It's your friend is not wrong. I got 2 seasons in, got busy and distracted, never felt compelled to go back and finish. Fair enough. I'm just a mark for the books don't have anywhere near that level of stuff. That was stuff that the showrunners put into the HBO show because HBO shows have to have like graphic, sexual content in them. Excuse me. Yeah, yeah. What up, Johnny Prophet? You know what gets me mad in TV shows? The lack of grilling. There's very few shows that actually show the proper respect for grilling. King of the Hill was one of the few that I think actually like was there. Um, but I'm sure you might have something to say about the use of propane versus like charcoal. Or maybe not. Maybe you are, grilling agnostic and all grilling is good grilling. Or maybe you're a purist. I actually don't know. I think I have a vibe that you're a charcoal purist, but I do not know. Yeah, dude. And like, so I went on, all right, I think we're done for today. I went on Facebook. Like I was on Facebook and I saw that, that he had died. And then I looked at the comments and it sounded like, he had redacted himself, right, from the comments, talking about how like he was having a bad time at some of the things he was at, and then I actually looked at the fucking article, um, and it was like no, he was shot by his neighbor after an altercation, and it was like, and that was actually the first time I found out that he was gay, right? That he had a partner that he was married to. And it was like I learned so much. Um I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's his last name is like Joss. John Redcorn actor. There we go. Yeah, Jonathan Joss. Um you also might know him from um Parks and Rec. If you watch Parks and Rec, he was on that and he did the voice. Apparently, there were 2 actors who did John Redcorn's voice. The first one died in a car accident, and then he died. He was killed, right? And there it is. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but they do these pop-ups to look at the thing, and you can disable your ad blocker, you can subscribe, and usually it says, I'll do it later or something like that. And this one is a guilt trip of, I don't support independent journalism. I think USA Today independent journalism is doing some heavy lifting, but yeah, I was wondering if that was actually relevant to the story, and it appears it is. So yeah, his neighbor committed a hate crime, as far as I could tell. Yeah. All right, homies. I am going to raid out. Please stick around for the raid. I appreciate you all. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Yeah, I should be able to get in at 10:30 again. So, and then sometime tomorrow evening, I am not entirely certain when tomorrow evening stream is going to start. It could be late. Could be late. Who we gonna raid? You want some music? We're gonna end on a high note. Even if you don't like music, listen to some music.
Okay, I was gonna drink a water.
Oh, really?
Listen how much water I drank.
Wow, that's really cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, homies. Vinyl Junkies, yep. Aren't you glad you found me? Is it okay if I call you Nine, or if it's Knives Nine, or if I'm thank you, I appreciate that. Aren't you glad you found me, Nine? Like, welcome in. All right. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow morning, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, Thursday, we're going to talk with She Snaps. That is supposed to go, that should be cool. We're going to have a conversation, and I enjoy conversations. I will probably not be going to DEF CON, but thanks for the offer. In the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you've forgotten. Always remember that Chuggy loves you. So do I. Be great.
Trying to knock myself out of